You've heard every take on Gen Z. Lazy, anxious, addicted to their phones, soft. But here's what nobody's actually saying. Gen Z might be the most psychologically complex generation ever raised, and most people are completely misreading why. Born roughly between 1997 and 2012, they came of age during something no generation before them experienced, growing up inside the internet. Not logging onto it, living inside it. Picture this. It's 2012. You're 13. Your social life, your reputation, your sense of self, all of it lives on a screen that fits in your pocket. Every mistake is documented, every insecurity is visible, and somewhere in the comments section, strangers are already forming opinions about you. Psychologists call this context collapse, when your private self and public self are forced to exist in the same space simultaneously. Gen Z didn't just experience this occasionally, they grew up in it during the most psychologically vulnerable years of their lives. This is why Gen Z developed what researchers describe as hypervigilant self-monitoring. The constant awareness of how you're perceived doesn't just shape behavior, it rewires how you process identity itself. When your sense of self is built partly through how others react to your online presence, you never fully develop a version of yourself that exists independent of an audience. And here's the paradox nobody talks about. Gen Z is simultaneously the most politically aware and the most emotionally exhausted generation alive. They grew up watching climate reports, school shooting drills, and economic instability trend on the same apps where they watched dance videos. Their nervous systems learned to hold catastrophic information beside ordinary life every single day. Research in the Journal of Adolescent Health found Gen Z reports significantly higher rates of anxiety and depression than previous generations at the same age. But they're also the most likely to name their mental state, seek therapy, and openly discuss psychological struggles. They didn't get tougher, they got more self-aware. They watched millennials hustle themselves into burnout chasing careers that promised stability. They watched student debt destroy financial futures. So they asked a question older generations never dared ask out loud. What if the system itself is broken? That's not laziness. That's a rational response to watching the contract between effort and reward fall apart in real time. Here's what makes Gen Z genuinely different, though. Despite the anxiety, despite the noise, they show up for each other with a directness and emotional fluency no previous generation had. They will tell you what they need. They will tell you what they won't accept. They set boundaries that older generations took decades of therapy to learn. They're not the phone-addicted zombies the headlines describe. They're a generation that inherited a fractured world, developed radical self-awareness as a survival mechanism, and are still figuring out how to build something real inside an attention economy designed to keep them distracted. The most Gen Z thing of all? They already know all of this, and they're talking about it anyway.